Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. We're live. You know what to do by now. Get involved in the chat and the comments and make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers, and with your support, we will get there. There's loads of stories to go through. The squad's been announced for the Premier League, the 25-man squad. There's the Harry Maguire story. We've signed a goalkeeper. There's a link with a winger whose name I'm going to struggle to pronounce. It is all popping off, so make sure you're subscribing so you don't miss any of it. Right, let's get into it. Let's talk about this 25-man squad explained, because people are liable to have a little meltdown, aren't they, if they see things like, what? No Garnacho, no Mainu, no Højlund. What is going on? Have we lost the plot not putting them in our 25-man Premier League squad? Well, we haven't, because we don't need to. That's why. Because if they're under 21s, they don't need to be named in the 25-man squad. And the actual squad itself, I don't think there's any dramas in it. I don't think there's anything in it where you go, why is such and such a body not there? What's going on? Why has someone been omitted? It's pretty standard fare. You can see here from the article in the Manchester Evening News, youngsters such as Alejandro Garnacho, Kobbie Mainoo and £73 million signing Rasmus Højlund were not named on the main list, but rest assured the trio will be able to play for United in the league this term. That would be a turn up for the Bucks, isn't it, if they couldn't? It just goes on to explain it. In their primary list, clubs must name up to 25 players, but cannot include more than 17 non-homegrown players on their respective lists. United are comfortably inside the limit in that respect. As for the under-21 list, players named must have been born on or after January the 1st, 2002 to be eligible. That makes me feel so old, by the way. This applied to Garnacho, Mainu and Højlund, but Uruguay winger Facundo Pellistri, added to the main list, was born 12 days after the cut-off for youngsters. So, his birthday must be the day before mine. Right, loads of people in the chat and the comments there. I mean, there's nothing really to lose our minds about here. But let's have a little look at it. So let's run through it. So goalkeepers, you've got Onana, Bayande and Heaton. I take it the asterisk is for homegrown, that makes sense. Defenders, you've got Lindelof, Maguire, Martinez, Malacia, Reguilon, Varane, Dalot, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka and Johnny Evans. Midfielders, you've got Amrabat, Mount, Fernandes, Eriksen, Casemiro, Van der Beek and McTominay. And for the attackers, you've got Pellistri, Martial, Rashford, Antony and Sancho. And then obviously the players that didn't need to be registered, you've got Garnacho, Mainu, Højlund, Medjbri, Diallo, Gore, Forson, Shaw, Retire. Some of those players, well, all of them might have a little bit of a, little feature in the team. They might get some minutes. But I think the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, I think he could, if he stays fit, play a bit of a part this season. What do you think? Is there any players there that you're thinking I'd like to see a bit more of? I think he was drastically unlucky, one of Kobbie Mainoo, getting that injury against Real Madrid after he had a very good performance against Arsenal. You want to see a bit more from him, want to see what he's about. He's a player that's obviously been elevated above his natural years. When he was in the under 18s, I think, when he was like 15, 16. So he's always been sort of punching above his weight, if you will. Leapfrogged the likes of Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Savage to get into the first team picture. Don't forget, a year ago, both Savage and Iqbal had very good pre-seasons, played very well on tour. Yet when it came to the first team during the season, they didn't feature. I don't think they featured at all. Kobbie Mainoo did, so he got in ahead of them. So he's obviously been someone who Erik ten Hag has looked at and thought, he can do a job for me. Picked up that injury. When he comes back, hopefully he will get some minutes. Let me know what you think. I'll get into loads of comments, loads of chat. I'll get into it. Rebecca Jade O'Sullivan, Richard Evans, Gary Hogan, Never Give In 1999. All saying morning Jay or morning fella, says Never Give In 1999. Bernardino says let's have it. UTFP. Matrilin says what up, Jay? Salutations from Mexico. Salutations, I like that. Phil Berry, Santa Notch says, morning, Jay. Sunny up there. It's not actually today. It's been raining. I went for a run this morning. No, I don't usually do that. I'm doing it because I'm doing 60 miles in September for Cancer Research UK. And it was drizzly and rainy. It was started off with a bit of drizzle, and then it was that fine rain soaks you through. Sam Architects, good to see him in there as well. BMW Racing, loads of people in there. Forgive me if I'm missing everyone out. I've got time to go through them all. Let's talk about Harry Maguire. Right. Harry Maguire has become a massive talking point over the last sort of 48 hours or whatever it's been. He was a bit of a talking point anyway, because He didn't move in the summer, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. I'm going to get into why he didn't move. He's explained that a little bit. Many people thought he did. Thought he was surplus to requirements. He isn't going to get many games at Manchester United. It's the Euros at the end of this season. If he wants to stay in the England team, he's going to have to get a move. And if he wants to play football regularly, I know the two are connected, then he needs to move elsewhere. West Ham were in for him with, I think, a £30 million offer. It seemed to make sense. However, he stayed. He still gets an England squad. Gareth Southgate rates him. He's one of his regulars. He's pretty much been in every single squad Gareth Southgate's named. He's pretty much in every team for any major game that Gareth Southgate has named. So he's one of his go-to guys. So Gareth Southgate sort of nailed his colours to the mast on that one and said Harry Maguire is going to play. Now you think to yourself though, this summer is going to be different, or next summer is going to be different, because what happened with the Euros is it's going to be a full season, then the Euros. Now, in the World Cup, you had a little bit of the season, then the World Cup. So Harry Maguire not being a regular didn't matter as much because A, he played some games anyway before the World Cup, and B, if he missed a few, it didn't matter because he wasn't missing a big chunk of the season. If he doesn't play for Manchester United this season, if he's fifth or sixth choice, which he kind of is, then come the Euros, Gareth Southgate may have a difficult decision to make because Harry Maguire might have gone the last 6 or 7 months barely playing. Now, at the minute, you've got, at United, you've got Martinez, you've got Varane, you've got Luke Shaw, who the manager seems to prefer on the left-hand side of that centre-back position when we need him to play there, when Martinez is absent. And you've got Lindelof. I'd argue all four of them ahead of Harry Maguire. Maybe there's an argument about Lindelof and Maguire. You could say it's one or the other. But I think Harry Maguire is technically fifth choice at Manchester United. Now, Gareth Southgate rates him. He's still got an England squad. He got an England team for the Ukraine game, and he came in off the bench for the Scotland game. He scored an own goal, and he got pelters. Now, he was getting pelters, I think, even before he steps onto the pitch. He was definitely getting pelters afterwards. Gareth Southgate has stuck up for him and defended him, and saying it's an absolute joke, the treatment that Harry Maguire's been getting. And now, Harry Maguire has sort of stuck up for himself. Now, this was all over the back pages this morning. It was all about Maguire and I can handle the booze and all that sort of stuff. So he stuck up for himself, and he sort of indicated that he's happy to take the stick if it stops other players getting the stick. He's saying, I'll sort of smother this grenade and I'll take the flak if it means others aren't getting it and I can handle it and all the rest of it. Now, whilst that's very noble and I admire that about him, I'm not sure he's taking stick so others don't. I don't think anyone else is really going to get stick. I don't think someone like Lewis Dunk was going to get stick, or John Stones if he plays. Or I know England fans do like to demonise players, but I think that he's the go-to guy for this. And I don't think if he wasn't getting stick, it means everyone else would be, or other people would be. I think Jordan Henderson gets a little bit because he's gone to Saudi Arabia and still getting picked. But definitely there's a big focus on Harry Maguire. So you can see what he said here. He says, I would not say I'm used to it, but I can deal with it. It pretty much takes the pressure away from my teammates and puts it all on myself. It makes them play better for sure. It's a little bit of banter and it's a hostile environment coming away to Scotland. Yeah, I mean, can he handle it? Can he keep playing and can it not affect him? I'm not so sure. Maybe he can for England. I think his performances for England have been pretty decent. I know he's had a couple of ones where it's been a bit dodgy, but if you look at the course of his England career, he's been a very good player and his record is fantastic. He's played in a final, or he's been in part of a team that have got to a final, part of a team that have got to a semi-final, and part of a team that have got to a quarter-final. Whether you like Harry Maguire or not, he is literally one of the most successful defenders for England ever in terms of playing for his country. Not many defenders, not many players have played for England and reached a final, a semi-final and a quarter-final. Some of his teammates will have, likes of John Stones or whatever, but even like the golden generation, Rio Ferdinand's probably the best English defender ever. He never got to a final with England. Did he even get to a semi-final with England? I don't think he did. So there's not many players that can look at that record and say, well, I've done better for my country. The only ones that can are the ones that won the World Cup, and I don't think any of the defenders from that are still alive out there. So he's been very successful for England. For Manchester United, not so much. The last 18 months haven't been great for Harry Maguire, and this is where it concerns me. I'm not too bothered about the England boo boys. United players always get grief off England fans. You look at the David Beckham effigies or the dartboard that the papers put in there. That's not even the England fans, that was the papers. where they had a dartboard with David Beckham's face on, encouraging people to throw darts on it. How that was allowed, I'll never know. You look at the death threats Phil Neville got when he gave away a penalty. You look at the threats that Ronaldo got when he winked. He wasn't even playing for England, he was playing against us and he winked. You look at the racist abuse that Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford got for having the audacity to miss a penalty. I mean, United players are always the ones that a lot of England fans don't like, just because United are usually the most hated team. However, this is a little bit different because you've got a player there who's done very well for his country, and you've got a player who actually, unlike a lot of the other players I mentioned there, isn't getting a lot of love from United fans at the minute. So I do worry about him in terms of, is it going to affect his performances at United? Because he's lost a lot of confidence. And he comes back to United, is he still going to get grief off United fans? I think United fans will rally around him. I think they'll support him. I think this will encourage them to. Because I think there's always an element with United fans when it's like England fans giving our players stickies. We want to stick up for them. We want to defend them. We want to support them. I hope I'm right anyway, because I don't think it serves any purpose attacking or booing Harry Maguire. I don't. I said this a year ago when I was in Perth and Melbourne when he was getting booed then in the friendlies. I didn't get it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. You might not think he's good enough for Manchester United, but booing him doesn't help him play better. Doesn't help the cause. So I don't understand it. You might be annoyed that he didn't move on when he should have done in the summer, and I think he should have moved on. But he's here, he's at Manchester United, and when he plays Manchester United, I want him to play as well as he can. So I'm going to get behind him starting on Saturday against Brighton. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat, and I'm going to get into the reasons behind him staying in a minute. Hit that like button as well, people. Let's get 200 likes. Hit the like. You watching? Hit the like button. Come on. Smash a like, as the kids say. Jay Frasconi says, we're in September, and folks are talking of transfers. It speaks to the poor job the club did in the summer window. I support Erik ten Hag and the players, but nothing will change under Glazer's ownership. It all comes from the top. I agree with that. Patrick Cassidy says, I don't mind him saying this at all. Thought he came across quite well for once. Tom Mills says, best centre-back we've ever had, Jay. For me, it's Vidic or Stam. It's Stam. Stam's the best centre-back I've ever seen, full stop. Second is Rio, third is Vidic. That's my pecking order. And a very close fourth is Gary Pallister, by the way. YouTube says, the ball wasn't going in before he own-goaled it. It's an own goal. I'm not disputing that. Also, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give a toss. I'm not bothered if Harry Maguire scores an own goal in a friendly for England against Scotland. It doesn't really concern me. I'm bothered in the sense that I hope it doesn't make him lose all his confidence so he comes back to United a worse player. But I can barely care about England games when it's a big game, let alone when it's a friendly. Just whoop-de-doo. CTB says, we've had a good window, we're just unlucky with injuries. Yeah, I agree with that one. I think we could have had a little bit of a better window, but it's not been too shabby. I think we've brought in important players in positions we need to fill. However, I do worry about the striking options, or the lack of striking options we've got. So we look at Harry Maguire then, and why he stayed at United. It says here in the Express, Man United star Harry Maguire explains truth behind West Ham transfer collapsing. So we've just scrolled down there, we'll see. Harry Maguire has explained that he couldn't come to an agreement with United, and that is why a prospective move to West Ham in the summer fell apart. The Hammers had agreed a fee of $30 million with the Red Devils in August, but the move collapsed. Maguire's inclusion in England squad was subject to scrutiny because the 30-year-old is yet to start a Premier League match this season, only playing 23 minutes off the bench in the loss at Arsenal, and he was put under more pressure at Hampden Park on Tuesday night when he, sorry, it's just scrolled there as I was mid-reading that, thank you, when he came off the bench for the Three Lions. Go on, you can scroll up now. Yeah, so you can see the quote there near the bottom. He says about the move to West Ham. He says it's not his decision that saw him move to West Ham fall apart. I know at the moment, when I have not started a game in the first 4 games of the season, the story comes to me. I want to play games. I want to play football. The first 4 weeks were hard because it was 1 game a week and the manager didn't select me. But we have lots of games coming up now, and I am sure I will play lots of games. And then he's talking about why he didn't go to West Ham. The article says Maguire would have been much better off moving to West Ham in the summer, but he and United could not agree a payoff figure. How can I put this? We just didn't come to an agreement, he said. They were happy for me to stay and I was happy to fight for my place. I want to do that, and every time I train or play, I will give everything. I kind of understand it, right? There's a part of me that thinks if I was at United, I'd do everything I could to stay at United. I'd do everything I could to get in the team. But I think you have to have a little bit of realism here. Is he going to get into the team? I don't see it happening. Erik ten Hag's made it pretty clear he doesn't fancy him. When you're playing Luke Shaw at centre-back over your £80 million centre-back, that speaks volumes for me. Now, the issue of money, any man or any person in any situation has the right to earn what they are entitled to. So if he's on a wage and he's signed a contract and he's getting paid that money, it's not just applied to football, it's applied to anyone. And that's the wages you've agreed and you're getting. And then someone's asking you to take a pay cut. I don't think you should feel obligated to do that. Now, you might have been in a scenario where Manchester United was saying, well, we're not going to pay off all your wages. You're going to have to go to West Ham, take a pay cut, and we'll pay off some of your wages or whatever, but you're going to have to take a pay cut, you're going to have to lose money. And he might have said, well, no, I've signed a contract, I'm getting paid this money, which is what we agreed. So unless you're going to give me that money, I'm not going to go. I get it. I do get it. And I think that whilst he's highly on the breadline, he's got every right to earn as much as possible and as much as he's agreed. However, there is a part of me that thinks, you're 30. West Ham, I'm not the biggest West Ham fan by any stretch of imagination, are a decent club to go to. They've got European football, they've got a decent stadium, they've got a strong fan base. It's not a terrible football club to go to. You could go to West Ham, play every week, play in Europe, play alongside some decent players as well, let's not forget, and get your career going again. Because at United, it is not even stagnated, it's gone backwards. So I am torn a little bit, and if push comes to shove, I think he should have gone. He should have gone, really. I'm a little bit disappointed he didn't, because I think, forget about the idea that we could have used that 30 million and bought someone else in and done all that, because you don't know what would have happened with that money. So I think for him and his career, the right thing to do would have been to go and play football. Go and be a regular starter in a Premier League team. Because right now, it's quite easy for Gareth Southgate to pick you, because we're 4 games in. It's going to be difficult when it gets to the Euros in the summer if you've only played 10 games all season and you've got other players like the kid from Palace is Gay or Stones or Dunk or whoever who are looking over you, or you're looking over your shoulder, and these guys are playing week in, week out and have had good seasons. I don't know. Does the manager still stick with you? There might be pressure on Southgate to drop you, and you might need dropping. If you've not played all season, can you go to a tournament and play against the best players in the world? I'm not so sure. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think. YouTube says he's contracted until 2026. James Powell says supporting Maguire through and through for another magical own goal. Harry Maguire says Ryan Muddy is a football player, not a child molester. Everyone needs to effing relax, okay? I think whilst that is accurate, I don't think that those are the only 2 ways you look at it. I think you can look at Harry Maguire and think he's not good enough, but I understand your point about people need to relax because some of the abuse he's getting is beyond the pale. Ray Nico says Harry's got a point. There's enough minutes to go around this season. He might have a point. You might look at it and go, we've got European football, we've got obviously the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, you've got the league, we've got Rafael Varane who does get injured. You've got Martinez who can get injured, of course. He missed the back end of last season and he went off with something, he did a little bit of a knock, although it wasn't serious, against Arsenal. You've also got Luke Shaw who's ahead of him, but he's been injured. So you might look at it and go, look, yes, I'm 4th or 5th choice, but 3 of the people in front of me get injured, so I could play. So there's 2 sides to it in there, and I think it's one of those where no matter whether you rate Harry Maguire or don't, think he should have gone to West Ham or not, think he's good enough for England or not, I think as United fans, we can at least get behind him. I'm not saying you can't question his performances. I'm not saying you can't criticise him when he plays badly, but I think you can get behind him when he plays for Manchester United. And that's what I'm going to do on Saturday. I'm going to be getting behind him, and I think he'll get a good reception at United. I really do. Old Trafford, sorry. I think he'll get a good reception because I think United fans will be a little bit like, I'm not having it. I'm not having England lot giving him a load of stick. We're going to get behind him. That's my opinion anyway. You may disagree. Get involved in the comments and the chat. Jamie Stanley says he's going to end up playing Champions League games. He might do if the injuries persist. Let's move on. United have signed a keeper. What? Really? Man United have added another goalkeeper to their ranks as their summer overhaul of the position continues. Yes, so this kid is Kai Plumley. So he's come from, is it Oxford? He's come from free agent. He's come from Oxford. I think he's just going to be a backup in the he's only 20 years old. He's been released by Oxford United. So it looks like he's coming in here to, as you can see there at the bottom, Plumley is expected to occupy a backup role in United's youth sides over the coming season and has been registered as one of the eligible under-21 players on the club's Premier League squad list. there you go. We've got a new goalkeeper. Quite exciting, isn't it, when you see United sign keeper? What? But youngster coming in to supplement the academy team. Supplement the academy team. Makes sense. I don't know much about him. I'm not going to pretend. I never heard of him until an hour ago. But it's a story, so we're letting you know what's going on. Let's move on. Here's one for you. United are in for, or could be in for, Kvaratskhelia. How do we say it? I've forgotten already. Can we remember? Is Alexi there? Alexi, how do you say this lad's name? Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia. There you go. Kvaratskhelia, Kvaratskhelia. I don't know a lot about him. I'm going to struggle to chant his name, but I'll get used to it. Forgive me if I've got it wrong, if you're watching Kvaratskhelia. Yeah, we've been linked with him, sort of. This is Mike Keegan in Daily Mail. He's asked about it. You can see the question there. With options on the right wing looking sparse, surely that will be the area to strengthen in January. Wouldn't surprise me if Napoli winger Kvaratskhelia was in the Premier League next season. I know he's had admirers here, including United, but I can't imagine he would come cheap, and a switch during the season may be unlikely. As for January, a loan move may be the answer to get them through until the end of the campaign. So if he doesn't even play on the right, I don't know, I don't see us getting another left winger. But it's a loose link there, isn't it? I think we're looking at him. Monitoring. We love a bit of monitoring, don't we, at Manchester United? I'm going to wrap it up there anyway, because I think, can I be brutally honest? With those last two stories, we're getting to that time, aren't we? There's been no proper football for a couple of weeks, and you can tell, can't you? Because it's like we've signed a 20-year-old reserve under-21s keeper, and we've kind of been linked, sort of, not really, with a winger who we may or may not want. Yeah, all right. Anyway, we'll be back later on. We're going to have Off the Bar with myself, Makola, Howson. Yes, so make sure you check that out. Hit like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.